Welcome to the Career Rockstars podcast.
Hello, listeners. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Ali. Welcome to this episode of the Career Rockstars podcast. My guest today is Arlene Derbe. She describes herself as a leader inside and outside the corporate world. Arlene holds a PhD in finance, in management, and management. She currently holds a senior position in a leading pharmaceutical company, and she's also the co-founder of a company focused on women who love their lives as well as their jobs. It seems to me that Arlene is living the best of both worlds. Join me in welcoming Arlene Derbe to the Career Rockstars podcast. Welcome, Arlene.
Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you for being here. I mean, we have so much to talk about. I did have a peek at your LinkedIn profile, and I observed the range of jobs you've held over the last 15 years. And it's clear that you've had so many areas of expertise and skills. And I would really like to talk about that, but a bit later, because now I would really like you to tell us a bit about what you are currently doing in your corporate career.
Sure. And thank you for having me, Alicia. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So currently, I am in a position which is called Performance and Clinical Control Tower. So it can mean a lot of things. But what I do with my team is we are really developing performance management and performance dialogue within the clinical operation space. It's a new team, being part of a new team also. So everything is new around us. We need to build everything. We need to build the tools. We need to build the relationship with our stakeholder in the business. But it's quite exciting at the same time. And a lot of challenges are waiting for us. I've just finished recruiting my entire team. So I think that now we are in the starting block to really develop this performance culture in the organization.
Great, great. You know, many people think of entrepreneurship as being, someone who starts their company, but we can also be entrepreneurs within a corporation.
Absolutely.
Because there you've just said it. You've basically had a startup, something completely new to serve the organization.
Yes.
And all of this experience we can use when we actually, at some point in our lives, we all have this innate desire or ambition sometimes to start a company. And I know you've started a company. So this is like a skill that we are learning in corporate that can be extended beyond that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for highlighting that. And I like what did you say? What kind of tower? Performance tower?
Yes, clinical performance tower.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Great. So, every career path, Arlene, it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes we go through ups and sometimes we go through downs. And some people say that, if we are constant, like your heartbeat, you're basically dead, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of your experiences that you might want to share in terms of highs or lows?
Yeah. I think that my first experience is to say that everything is possible. I say that because by education, my first graduation is in classical letters. So I wanted to be a teacher of Latin and ancient Greek. And now if you look where I am, you say, okay, how did she get there? So clearly, it's a combination, a series of decisions that you take in your life and which lead you where you are today. So nothing is impossible. At 22, I was ready to become a teacher of Latin and ancient Greek. And now I am leading a performance team in clinical operations in a pharma company. What was really driving me, I think, is really the appetite to learn, to always learn new things. This is really something that I like to have in my job.
Mhm.
And I think that in a career, it's a succession of challenges that you take to stretch yourself, followed by maybe job where you are more in your comfort zone, because I believe that you cannot always be stretched. Otherwise, because it's really using you as a person. It requires a lot of energy. So for me, it's a succession of stretches, and then the next position is a little bit more comfortable. The next one is again a stretch, and then a little bit more comfortable. And this is a little bit the roller coaster that you are talking about.
Yeah, because if we, we all know it about being in your comfort zone, but if we stretch ourselves too much, then we can easily snap.
Absolutely.
And some people like incremental change.
Yes.
Some people like big step changes. And I
Yes.
think what you're doing now it's actually creating a new team in a new environment,
Yes.
completely new. That's not incremental for me. That's a big step.
Yes.
So I think also when people know their worth and their capabilities, then they're able to, and also the support system around them, then they're able to take those challenges.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I like that how you bridge that up and down with stretching and then
Yes.
taking time to. It's not necessarily recover, but it's about adapting and then
Yes.
shifting again.
Yes.
Super.
And what I always said when I discuss with people, when you envision a new position for yourself, look at what you are bringing to the position and look at what you want to get from the position. I don't think that I ever took a position where I was 100% in my comfort zone. I was always coming to get something, to develop an aspect of my personality, of my career in a position. But this percentage of the comfort zone in which you are, in which you want to stay, can evolve depending on the position that you are taking.
That's interesting. And how do you come up with these areas where you believe you need to be challenged, you
Yeah,
believe you need to be stretched?
I think that once I am too comfortable in a position, I am craving some challenges, and I am then looking for a position with more stretch. So and I think that stretch is not only about the content of the position, it can also be the culture of the team, the department in which you are going to enter. You don't have to underestimate the pressure that it is to join a completely new company or join a completely new team versus only the content of the position. So sometimes you come with the content, but the stretch is that you have to join a new company. And that's a stretch. You don't know anybody. You need to build your network. It's kind of your first day at school where you discover a lot
Mhm.
of new things. So the stretch is not only limited to the content, it also include the environment of the new job that you are going to take.
Yeah. And that's part again of our overall worth. When we look at the investment people make into their resumes, it's like a summary of themselves, but they're worth
Yes,
so much more than that.
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
that's only given a highlight, and many people limit themselves by their resumes.
Yeah,
And it's so important, and that's why I call this the career rock star. People are able to talk about themselves, first of all, with clarity, and that clarity brings confidence.
yes, and it's not easy. When you are on your day-to-day job, when you are really focused on your practical skills, it's sometimes very difficult to be able to take a step back and say, as you were mentioning, what is my value? What am I bringing beside what is written on my CV? Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it's one of the things you highlighted, and I hope we can talk about that, is how do you find the time, make the time to invest in building your career proactively?
Yeah.
You just touched on it, but maybe elaborate a bit.
Yeah. So this is something I have been introduced to that when I was working at McKinsey, so more than 10 years ago, where the career development is very important, and they really invest in their people to help them grow. And I really like that. And I continue in my current company, but also outside, to read books, to listen to podcasts, to listen to TED Talks. And what I was doing and what I'm still doing is I try to block 1 hour per week in my agenda for my development. And it can be, oh, I have some trainings to do for the company, but it can also be, oh, I wanted to look at that video on the TED Talks, or I wanted to read that book. So I am spending 30 minutes or 40 minutes on reading a book. So it's really being conscious that developing yourself, developing your career, it's not going to happen by magic. You need to invest in yourself, and for me it's very important. I think that I also share with you another experience, because when I transitioned to this job a few months ago, I was really in this application process, and as I was just saying before, I was so in my day-to-day job that I had lost a little bit this capability of taking a step back and really being able to articulate my value beside what was on my CV. And so I took 3 sessions with an external coach who didn't know me at all. And she really helped me articulate the value that I could bring to another company or to a new position. And that was really helpful to have an external eye looking at my experience and being able to help me articulate all that.
Yeah, many people try on their own, and that's okay. Some people have the capability to do that. There's a lot of consultations with friends and family, but what you said, reaching out to someone who doesn't really know you, especially with coaching skills, they can really have an impact. The way you discover yourself, right? It's all about self-discovery and self-assessment.
It's also a good boost in your confidence.
Yes, that's what I said about the clarity brings the confidence when you know your value, and it also helps you when you are negotiating salary and benefits, for example. It helps you.
Yes.
And then it also helps on imposter syndrome, because then you are able to, take on new challenges without being afraid of failure, because you feel like you can't achieve something. Yeah, that assessment can really bring a lot of value to everyone. And so that's a good practice, I think, for our listeners, in terms of taking some time off to really reflect on your career and where you want to be. You said you do it once a week. I know people who do this once a year. I think everyone has a different style, but whatever style you listeners want to take, please take time, block some time for yourself. It's so important to reflect not only where you are, but where you want to be.
Yes.
Because that intrinsic motivator of ambition is so powerful.
Yeah. And maybe if I can add something on that, Alicia, it's also back at my time at McKinsey, but there was, I was educated, because I always said that McKinsey was a second school for me. And I was educated at build your own McKinsey. Meaning you can have everything you want, but you need to be in the driver's seat. And this is what I still believe today. When people come to ask me advice about what their next step can be, I say, you are in the driver's seat. Some people come to me and complain, oh, my manager doesn't do anything for me. Well, first ask him what you expect from him to do and be in the driver's seat. You want a promotion? You want to change position? Make it happen. Build your network, take additional training, leverage your A team around you, but you are in the driver's seat. Don't expect that it will fall from the sky.
Indeed. And that's my philosophy too. It's about, I call it take back control of your career. And it's not only your career, our careers and lives are so intertwined, and it's part of our overall quality of life, our ambition, everything it's all part of us. So, but taking time for that reflection is so powerful, and taking control. No one is going to do it for you. They may support you, but they're not going to initiate it for you.
Absolutely.
Maybe some managers do. I'm sure you're one of them, who would identify talent and support people or give them a good boost to be able to go on. But most people don't.
No.
And if they do that, then they would always be ready for their next career move.
Absolutely.
That type of thinking.
Yes.
So let's talk a bit about creating your network.
Yes.
How do you go about that, and what advice can you give to our listeners?
So the first thing that I realized is that a lot of people, and maybe a lot of women, I don't know, when we talk about building network, it's kind of, oh, no, I don't want to do that. It's like I am selfish. I am trying to take advantage of someone. I will be seen as someone who wants to take advantage of someone. I think that we need to get away from that vision. If we want to get somewhere to reach our objective, we cannot get there alone. I mean, we need some help. We need a team to surround us, to support us. And for me, building the network is really that part. And you should not forget that when you build a network, it's a two-way relationship. It's not like I form a relationship and then I ask for something and that's it. No, you nurture a relationship like you would do outside of work. When you build a relationship outside of work, it's a two-way relationship. It's very natural. So why is it different once you enter the workplace? It shouldn't be different. It's exactly the same. I think also that it's very important to build your network over time, because this is one of the key of the success and of developing your career. I can give you an example again for my current position that I get 3 months ago. This is a person of my network who came to me with a job description and who said, I believe that you would be a good fit for that position. I said, oh, great. So I applied. And when she heard that I was selected for the interview, she called the VP of the department to say, you know what? I want to support her. I can tell you, I have worked with her in the past and she is strong. I did not even have to ask. She did it on her own because she trusted me. So the power of the network, when you really have a strong relationship with the people in your network, can really be the key to get you to your next job and your next step in your career.
Indeed. And we see, as a career coach, I see a lot of clients who start building their network only when they are desperately seeking a job. It's never too late, but then they realize the power of the network and how much it can help them not only in finding a job, in any other aspect of our lives. And that's so
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely.
Super. Thanks for sharing all that. I like what you said earlier about, you know, the McKinsey. It's like, what expression you use?
Build your own McKinsey.
Build your own McKinsey, kind of. Super. That's a good, you know, message for people. Great. Let's talk about your company where you co-founded.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're co-founder of Bliss.
Yes.
I guess it's also Belgium-based company.
Yes.
Yeah, how do you manage with this high impact corporate full-time job and starting your own company?
So I think so I founded Bliss with with the co-founder Jessica, and we founded Bliss 4 years ago. And I think that I realized at that time that I was missing something in my life. I had the feeling that I can bring more than what I was doing only in my job. And in fact, this is really giving me energy. Yes, of course, it takes time, but it also bringing me a lot of positive energy that I can then reinvest in my corporate job or in my day-to-day life. So it's really a win-win situation. So we founded Bliss 4 years ago, and as you mentioned, the tagline is that Bliss is the place to be for the woman who wants to love their life as much as they love their job. So we really want to work with active women who are involved in their job, in their career, and they like their job and their career, but they also want to have a life beside that. We have Jessica and myself, we have the same age. We are working women, and we realize that some women, when they are working full time, when they have their family, it's sometimes very difficult for them to spend time for themselves and to say, okay, is it really the life that I want? Or I am just following the train, the path, and I don't take just a moment to step back and say, maybe I can change something in my life. Not always a huge change, but it can be, how can I make sure that I keep some time for a hobby that I would really like to be involved in the future or develop in the future? So it's really make sure that besides the career that you love, you also have a life that you love, and that in 10 years from now, you don't say, now it's too late. It's a shame. I should have done that 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's an interesting mission because it is impacting the quality of life.
Absolutely.
And we try to separate, as I said earlier, our careers and lives, they're so intertwined. And we can try to separate them, but they are so interdependent. And at the same time, if we are able to, I think that awareness is important. How much does awareness play in that type of work that you do?
I think that it takes a lot of time and energy to make some women realize that they are facing the issue, to make them aware of that issue. Most of them, they don't really take the time, they don't allow themselves to take the time to have that kind of reflection. And again, if they wait too long, it will be too late. So yes, awareness is a big part of what we do, creating awareness.
Yeah, that's interesting. They're so caught up in everyday life, as you said, family, career, everything else, that no time for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this also has a long-term impact, as we know in Europe. I can only speak for Europe and especially Belgium on burnout rates. It can
Yes,
be
and
quite high.
absolutely. And I am 100% convinced because I lived it myself. If you take time for yourself at the end of the day and you do something that you like, maybe not every day because I know that it's not always possible, but just once or twice per week, do something for yourself, which is different from your work. The day after that, when you go back to work, you are full of energy and you are much more productive than if you had stayed very late at work or you just look at your email very late. I mean, everybody has a different way of working. I certainly don't want to judge, but please make sure that you have some time for yourself to recharge your batteries and make sure that you are full of energy the days after.
Yeah, I always reflect at one point, I was working so much, you don't even look at your salary coming in. You are so caught up into your work and
Yeah.
no time. The weekends will go by and you're still working. And it's like a sort of drug sometimes. It's
Yes.
that hamster wheel kind of drug effect that we keep going and going and going until what happens.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's a great mission. If listeners are interested, they can reach out to Alan and Jessica, is it?
Yeah.
The company is called Bliss, to find out more about how they can support you, or
Great.
just to have a chat, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So changing gears again, going back to the finance and management part
Yes.
of your career. You spoke earlier about wanting to become a teacher, but then you went on to do a PhD in management and
Yeah.
finance.
Yes.
How what advice would you give to the younger folks
Mhm.
about who are in that type of career, management and finance?
It's a very broad spectrum. So when you do these studies like MBA, it's a very broad spectrum. It can go from human resources through marketing, supply chain, finance. So it is very broad. And usually uh, during your studies, you will feel which of this topic is the most appealing for you. So in my case, I'm really an analytical person, and so the figures they are really speaking to me. Now, again, when you do these studies, what I always say is that your graduation is just a key to enter the world of the corporate world. And then it's up to you again to realize at some point, oh yes, I was doing some marketing. Yeah, okay, great. But now I think that I would like to go to explore a little bit what's happening in finance. If you were, it's always possible. I mean, you have had the basic uh, of of your MBA, so you have basic knowledge in finance, in marketing, in human resources. So a lot of doors are open for you. I think that now more than ever, a lot of doors are open for young folks entering the corporate world. A lot
Yeah.
of possibilities are there for them.
Yeah, it's no longer like for me, I'm a PhD chemist, and like you do that and you have to enter a chemical environment or scientific environment. I think with the field of finance and business, as you said, you can go everywhere. And I really like your expression about graduation is the key, because
Yes.
so many people today criticize getting a degree. But education is such a strong foundation
Yeah,
for whatever we do. And it brings discipline also, and it
absolutely.
brings that desire, that yearning to learn more and to be
Yes.
more.
Yes.
So I love that expression. I'm gonna use it. Great. So in terms of, you spoke earlier about investing in resources and books and so on.
Yes.
What recommendations you might have, one of your favorites to share with the audience?
So I think that one of my favorite book is the one of Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In. It was really an eye-opener for me. So first, I look at her video on TEDx talk, and I saw it was so spot on. The different tips that she's giving in that video, and that's why I bought the book afterwards. And she was, I mean, I think that she is really still a role model for me. The fact that she was speaking for women and leadership, and that we should have our place around the table, our place at the table and not beside. I was really thinking, because I think it was around 10 years ago, and it was really speaking to me at that time. Because I believe that women in leadership position, it's still a difficult topic. I mean, you just have to see the figures, the percentage of women in leadership position. It is, of course, getting better and better, but it's still a challenge. And there are a lot of valid reasons for that. Huh? But at some point, as a woman, we need to make choices. And when we make these choices, I think it avoids us to find excuses of why we didn't get the position that we wanted to have. And making choices can be painful. Huh? I am a mother of 2 children, and I know that if I want to be more invested in my career, it might mean having less time with my kids. But I also value very much that my kids are happy, that they have a healthy life. And I believe that it's possible to have both if you are well organized.
Indeed, yeah. If you take 1 hour off every week to take care of yourself, yeah. But indeed, we spoke, a lot about imposter syndrome and so on, and there's so many factors. And even talking about it, I can see you hesitating a bit to talk about. I might be wrong, but I can see you hesitating a bit to talk about women in leadership. But our voices can bring so much power and courage and confidence, not only to women, but also to men, that speaking about it, not in a feministic way, but in an open,
yes,
relaxed way, it helps to, give women and men more confidence in women leadership.
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate that. I've seen the talk, but I've listened to the talk, but I haven't read the book. So it's going to be on my list, that's for sure. So Aline, we're coming to the end. So thank you so much for sharing some of your strategies and your stories with us. And of course, helping us to understand how you proactively manage your career. And that's some great tips you left with the listeners. How can our listeners get in touch with you? Of course, through Bliss and any other way.
So I think via my LinkedIn profile. So I am on LinkedIn, Arlène Derbet, and this is where you will find my activities related to Bliss, but also related to my corporate life and my interest.
Okay, so that will surely be shared in the description of the podcast. And then the theme question, which is, this podcast is called Career Rockstar.
Yes.
What makes Aline Derbet a career rockstar?
I think that it's my sense of always liking new challenges. In my corporate life, but also outside with Bliss. It was, of course, a big challenge to to start Bliss while still being in the corporate world. Yes, I always like challenges while having fun.
Well, all rock stars have fun, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. It's always interesting the answers I get to that question. Great challenges and fun. That's Alan. My dear listeners, no doubt Alan has inspired us with her international career path, and she has made some bold but conscious moves during her career. She takes a proactive approach to managing her career and does not limit herself to the corporate world. And it's all important. The importance of personal and professional development in career management is something I see coming through this podcast with Arlene. So thank you for that, Arlene, and also your recommendations, your advice to the finance and business members of the audience.
Sure. Thanks a lot for having me, Alicia. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. We should do this again. There's so much to talk about.
Yes.
And even you, remember you're unique, your career is unique, and your lifestyle is unique. And that it's never too late or early to take control of your career, to become your own career rock star, to be more, to lead more, and to live more. This is your host, Dr. Alicia Ali, Europe's premier career coach and mentor. Thank you for listening, and remember to subscribe. Join us next time on the Career Rockstars podcast.
We'll enable you to be more, lead more, and to live more, to become a career rock star.